What do you do if you have a tiny audience, but you still want to sell digital products, you still want to launch, but you got no one to sell them to, or it feels like you don't have a big enough audience? Maybe you have pivoted your business and you've changed and you're doing something completely different. So the audience that you've spent, months or maybe even years building now isn't the audience for the next path in your life. It can be a really big challenge because you probably know that you need an audience to be successful in any business. You need people to know about what you're doing and what you are selling if you want to be able to sell things. And this lies the challenge, the old, where do I start and what do I do if I don't have an audience? And the feelings like, should I build the audience first? Should I build the products first? Like, what do I do first and where do I start? And I'm just going to preface it by setting the stage that I think it depends on where you are at in your business right now. Because a lot of the advice that I see from creators for new creators saying, hey, this is how to run a business and this is how you can be successful and follow my strategy or my blueprint. And, you can have a 5-figure, 6-figure, $1 million launch just like I did. It's that they may have been at a very different part of their journey. Maybe they have a different life situation to you. So the first thing to consider is, where are you at in terms of your capacity to be able to build an audience as opposed to the rest of your life? Because if you are at the stage where you need to make money today, you don't have the buffer to be able to, or an additional form of income to be able to take time to build an audience. If you are just starting out your business, or you are pivoting, or you're doing something and there is an urgent need to make money, you're going to need to employ some very different strategies to, if you have money or if you have the money coming in that allows you the freedom and the time to build your audience. Often I will see people, talking about these huge launches that they've done without mentioning the fact that they, had left a corporate world after, being laid off or something, and they had 6 months of income, or sometimes even 12 months of income. So they could spend 6 or 12 months figuring things out without the stress of having to bring in revenue, which in a lot of cases is a lot of time spent building an audience. If you've already got an audience, it is a lot easier to have a very successful sale than if you are building your product and building the audience at the same time. And this can be one of the frustrations of when you are getting started in business, because you don't know where to start first. But what is the most helpful thing to do is that you need to do all the things at the same time, or in equal balance. You need to be building an audience, being seen, being visible, nurturing and bringing people into your world. You need to be creating value, digital assets for your business, i.e. things that you can sell, and you need to be selling them. When you have the urgent need and you've got to get started now and you're like, I have bills to pay this month. Firstly, we'll talk about, the types of products and the types of things that you may need to do. But you will have to spend, time sort of doing all three in a very short cycle. You'll need to be audience building and, making something and selling it pretty much all at the same time. That cycle for you may even be within the same day. It might be like, all right, I'm going to spend 2 hours on audience building, 2 hours on building the thing, and then 2 hours on, the sales assets, like, sales page, email sequences, those, ads, whatever it is, those kinds of things. Where if you have a massive sort of window of time because you have another way to generate income, then maybe that's going to be that you spend 2 months building your audience, and then 2 months building a product to sell once you've got to know your audience a bit better, and then 2 months actually selling it and putting all that energy into a launch. So there's no right or wrong. It's just about considering the advice that's going to be right for you in your current situation. But whatever the size of your audience is, even if it is teeny, tiny, maybe your audience right now consists of friends and family and colleagues and maybe half a dozen people that you don't know. You need to make sure that the audience that you're building is the right audience, because this is why people talk about vanity numbers and vanity metrics. You could have a massive audience, but if they are not an audience of the customer that is right for the thing that you are selling, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's nice. We all love the numbers. It makes you feel better. But if you actually want to sell your offer and have a sustainable business, you need to be attracting people who are right for the offer that you are selling. And, in some situations that may be multiple offers for, different audiences or audiences that are on a different stage of their journey. That's okay. But the closer and the more tightly aligned you can you can make the work that you're doing to attract customers aligned to the thing that you're selling, the more likely that you are going to have success with a smaller audience. And that is just going to scale and improve as you grow. If you're building an audience of people that may not be the right person, maybe it's close but not quite right, then that's going to be really challenging. And a client that I spoke with earlier in the year had done a fantastic webinar. They had great signups, and they were teaching people how to do a specific task, or like to achieve a thing. It was like a craft-based thing. And it was fantastic. They had hundreds of people sign up, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then they only had just a handful of people actually buying their course, because the webinar was about how to do the thing. And the way that it was presented attracted a lot of people that just wanted to do it for themselves. Whereas their actual course was for people who wanted to do this as a business and turn this, creating this product into something that they could sell. Whereas the majority of the people that went to the webinar wanted just to do it for themselves. They weren't interested in creating a business. So whilst, it was great to get all those signups, it was understandable that they didn't get a lot of signups for their course. So that's where it's important to make sure that's really everything is aligned through and you're attracting. And, the actual webinar content was still good, still relevant for both lots of people. Like, there was no problem with that. It was more that the way it was worded on the sign up page was attracting anyone who wanted to do that thing. It was like, hey, we'll teach you how to do this thing, when really what they needed to do was focus it on people, like, attracting the audience of people who wanted to do it because they wanted to make them for sale to build a business out of it. So yeah, just really thinking about that alignment and the audience. And do know that it is completely and totally possible to be able to sell to a tiny audience. My beautiful business therapists, Jacopo and Alessia, that's what I call them, my business therapists. I spent more money with them than I've ever spent with anyone else without them selling at all, because they had so cleverly and wonderfully worked out the exact right type of person for their offer, and all of their content and all of the things that they share on social reflected that. Every time they sent an email out or did a post, I just would read them and go, God, like, how do you know me so well? Like, how are you pinpointing the exact things that I've been struggling with? Because when things are really tightly aligned, the right person is going to see themselves in what you are presenting, and you'll barely even have to sell at all. We joke, and I'm like, I want to get to the place where they are at, where I was just like, all right, how do I work with you? They didn't even sell. There was no call to action or anything like that. I was like, okay, we're very aligned. How do I work with you? And it was such a nice experience, because I was like, you get me. You understand where I'm at. You understand the problems that I'm having. And that's what you want for your customers. You want to be able to create content to attract. So it doesn't need to be thousands or even potentially hundreds. If you attract the right person, then that is going to be what can, help you have success even with a very small audience. It's got to be the right audience. That's the trick. Also, the products that you're selling has to be really aligned, because if you are selling something at a low price and a small audience, it's very, very hard to make that sustainable and to help you actually make profit. It is great to get those first sales. I love first sales. There is nothing more exciting than that first time that you put something out there into the world and someone who you don't know buys it. There's just seriously no better feeling in the world. Whether that's $27, whether it's $2,700, it's the same awesome feeling. However, if you've got a small audience, I would highly recommend starting with the things that may not be scalable long term, but they're going to bring you the most revenue and profit right now. And that would be things like consulting or coaching. The reason as well is it's very, very good to, very, very easy to get those types of offers set up from a delivery standpoint. Like the actual work involved in that compared to building a signature program is considerably less. Some type of service offering that's really, really related to your niche. If you don't have a service offer or you don't want to, that's totally okay. But these are the types of things that will attract a much higher price. And if you do want to go down the digital product/course route, I would highly recommend doing something like, a live workshop, because quick to market, quick to prepare and present, and you're not going to get stuck in that rabbit hole of spending months creating a course that you don't know if people even want. If you got to put a live workshop out to market and no one buys it, you don't need to deliver it, and you're getting really clear messages that maybe that's not the right thing. Whether it's, you can watch the session that I did on validation, whether it's that you've just positioned it in a way that people don't see how it's for them, or whether they're just simply not interested in it. You learn that before you put all the work in. And, the smaller the audience, the more you've got to get things that are really aligned with people. And workshops give you a chance to play around with a few different topics and a few different ideas till you find the one that hits. If you spend months building a course or a signature program and you haven't got it right, and often, people out of the bat will be like, yeah, but if I do a signature program, I could sell it for $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000. So I'll make a lot off that one sale. Absolutely. But it depends on how much work you need to put into doing that. You could get the same money from a service offer or a coaching and consulting offer with a lot less work on the back end. Yes, you probably don't want to do that forever. And if you're wanting to, not do as much in-person one-to-one work, it's not something that you'll want to do forever. But as someone who has done hundreds and hundreds of coaching calls, not only is it a fantastic way to serve your audience, it is a fantastic way to really understand your customers and understand what they want and what they need, where they're getting tripped up, to understand that, the struggles, so that you can talk to other people like them. So you also get paid at the same time. So you get paid for your expertise, you help someone, you learn. It's kind of like the ultimate win-win. And it's really easy to set up. You can set up a coaching or consulting offer, in a few hours, because on the back end of it, there's not so much delivery as there is, in terms of actual digital product deliverables, as there is when you create a course or a program and you've got to record all the lessons and set the student area up and all those things. So low ticket can work. You can do that through workshops or other things, but definitely when you have a smaller audience, focusing on that right fit product for the right customer, generally at a higher price point. Once you've done that, you can certainly go beyond. And I would recommend playing around with things, especially if you don't love coaching and consulting, and you're like, well, I can do it, but I don't want to keep doing it. It's just more that it's an easy start point, and it's an easy way for you to start generating income quickly. In terms of Kajabi, I just want to quickly go through this, and I do apologize if I'm a little scattered today. I'm going to the airport in an hour, and I probably was a bit ambitious thinking, oh, just do a live stream before I go to the airport. So minimum Kajabi setup. If you are doing something like this and you want to get something really quickly out to market, don't do an entire sales page. You can sell straight off a checkout. And I know in an ideal world, you wouldn't do that and you would have a full funnel and a full sales page. But if you're about doing something quickly to see what works and see what people like, what they respond to, make your checkout like your sales page. Do things that are going to allow you to move quickly so that you can put your attention into building the audience and attracting the audience, because you need to have things to sell, and you need to create the assets to sell them so that you can then grow the audience. And if you end up stuck in that creating, sometimes in the past I've spent a week, 2 weeks just building a sales page. And there are some offers, once I sort of got over that fear that the sales page was the be all and end all, that have never even moved off a checkout. They're still just being sold straight off a checkout. Kajabi has pop-up checkout now as well. So, you can simplify things and make it easier for yourself. So, build the checkout first, then make a sales page later, especially if you're going to be just trialing offers out. If you struggle to sell something off a checkout, then that kind of shows that maybe you didn't need a sales page because you haven't got the offer dialed in. You haven't sort of really worked out how to present it to customers, because ultimately that bit of copy that is on there is the most important thing. The design and the layout is lovely, but what people need to know is is this for me? Do I trust you? Is this going to be a product that is going to help me solve my problems, whatever those problems are? So my suggestion is dial it in. You have to create a checkout page anyway, even if you do have a sales page. So just keep it simple. Give yourself minimum viable. It is totally okay to do good versions of things while you are iterating in the beginning and whilst you are growing. Optimize and make them better later, because tell you what is, the enemy of perfect, and that is not existing at all. You've got to get things done. So take away the roadblocks and do it quickly and focus your attention on then getting it in front of people. If you are worried about launching when you have a small audience, that can be a massive challenge, because with a launch, generally, the more people that are in the launch, the more successful it is. And it can be so frustrating putting all the work into creating all the launch assets, which feels like it takes freaking forever. And it also feels like a rabbit hole that you go down, like a babushka doll situation where you got to do one thing and then you're like, I need a thank you page, and I need a confirmation email, I need an onboarding sequence, and I needed this and I needed that. And it just can feel very much like a lot. And that is because it is. Launching is a lot. And how I try to frame it for when you are new and when you have a small audience is your first few launches, don't think of them as launching in order to be successful in terms of financial or number of people goals. If you view launching as a way to practice the skill of launching and get better and get used to going through that process, one of the biggest benefits of launching is it also helps you grow your audience, because you're going to be attracting people. You're going to be talking about the thing. People are going to come in. That's the whole idea, is that you want to create a bit of buzz and, potentially run ads or, get your offers in front of other people, create content around it, and that's going to attract people to you. But the challenge with a launch is, maybe 100 people might come into your world from the launch, but probably only 3 or 4, maybe 5 of them are actually going to buy. And the thing is it's not that they're not going to buy at all. Maybe they're not going to buy right now. Maybe they really like you, but this offer isn't specifically what they need. So when you bring something else out, that will be the thing that they buy. And if you think about launching as an opportunity to kind of get your chops with, the skills that you need to be able to launch effectively and to build your audience, rather than setting really huge goals around, I want to make 20 grand off my launch when I've got 50 people on my email list. I think it can help you just view it in a different way and take the pressure off yourself. Because one of the things with launching is every time you do it, it gets easier. You get your skills up. The first time you create the assets is always the hardest. It is such a grind. And, I'm sure people are like, just use my templates and blueprint. It'll be easy. I have done a lot of launches, and there's just work involved in setting all the things up. The pages, if you run a challenge or a webinar, like there's email sequences, and there's just a lot of moving pieces. There's certainly a million ways to launch, and there's ways to launch things really simple. But if you're doing it in a way where it's not just like a flash sale or a quick launch to your email list that's an existing audience, if you're trying to attract new people, there's a lot of things. The good part about that is usually those things can be reused in future. So that first time is always going to be the most work and the hardest, because often you're learning how to create and do those things as well. So give yourself, a bit of like, all right, why don't I just take this as an opportunity to learn from it? If I get people enrolled, awesome, bonus. But use it as an opportunity to bring people into your world. There is, a chance that if you play around with other offers, that you can then present those offers as well. And you can use that to build your audience, and then launch again and launch again. And every time you launch, you will start to see things snowball and grow and get better. You'll get more confident. You'll learn new things about launching. Maybe you'll try some different strategies. You'll layer things in as you get more confident as well. But your first launch, or any launch, is just a launch. It is something you're going to continue to do in your business, whether you do evergreen launching, which is basically setting up the assets for it to be able to sell on an automated thing, which I don't recommend doing until you've had the experience of launching live, at least for the first time, so that you understand all the things involved. Because evergreen launching is only less work because you create all those things. You still have to create them. That still has to happen. And then you automate parts of it so it happens kind of on an ongoing basis, and you're not having to physically be there live. But you still need to create things. You can't just create a course and chuck it on your site and hope for the best. You may still get some sales, but you've got to be working on bringing people into your world and telling them about what it is that you have. So might just be another way to think about launching. It could take some pressure off, and just know every time you launch, you're going to just grow your audience naturally as part of that. So the next time you launch, you're going to be launching with more people. And sometimes people have to go through a launch like 2 or 3 times. Maybe the first time you launched, they were really busy and they had a lot on. They're like, oh, that seems really cool, but life happened. They forgot about it. Then the next time you launch, they're like, oh yeah, that thing, I saw that. Oh God, I wish I'd joined it last time. Then you introduce, they come and join me now, and the timing's right. There's so many different situations and reasons why people don't buy at the time. And sometimes it's a trust factor. Sometimes the more they've been in your world, if you're nurturing them in between launches, etc., then they will be more likely to buy. Like I said, maybe they'll buy something else if you do create an additional offer, or you present that first product to them, or that first thing that you're selling. And then if they don't buy that, you can say, hey, how about this? Then, there's more opportunities to make money from that. All right. What I would love for you to do, if you have a small audience, pivoting audience, you know what? Even if you have a big audience, I think it can still work. I think it should, it's still something that I personally think can work really well in a business, unless you are like full on, scaling and, never doing one-on-one again, and you've got everything dialed in. If that is you, I, salute you. But for a lot of us, you could be missing the opportunity to have things like a coaching session. Like it could be even as, as easy as a pick my brain for an hour session. You could do it on Zoom. You could do it async over a tool like Voxer, where you can even type or voice note people. Maybe there's something that you could create as like a quick workshop. But what is something that you could create to sell in the next 7 days? And if you don't have anything for sale yet, then this is especially for you, because if you're getting caught up on like, oh, I'm not sure what to create, and I want to build this, and I want to build that, and I want to do a membership, and I want to do a blah, 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 like strip it back. What is something that you could get up for sale? I mean, ideally, what is something that you could get up for sale today, like over the weekend? What is something that you can start selling to your audience? So as you grow your audience, you are putting offers in front of them from the beginning. You're bringing people into your world, and instantly they know that you have resources and ways that you can help them. Because even if your audience is tiny, every time someone, finds you, discovers you, if they're like, oh, look, they have this thing that I could buy, increases the chances that they're going to buy. But if you don't have it, if you don't have any kind of offer, if you're like, I'm not sure what that is yet, just do something simple. Have an hour consulting on on your niche. You can set that up. Kajabi Coaching has options for you to set it up. You could set it up in Calendly or another calendaring tool where you can take payment. It is a reasonably easy to offer to set up. So that would be my challenge, something along those lines. And if not that, maybe some kind of workshop that you can run. I did a session like in one of these live streams. I will put the link into it of what would I do if I wanted to run a 60-minute workshop tomorrow. Go back and watch that and be like, all right, I'm going to do this. I want to get something up for sale. Because if you don't yet have something that people can buy quickly and easily as they come into your world, you're going to make it harder to be successful as you grow. Now, people are going to come into your world. It doesn't mean everyone's going to buy it, but the more that people come in and see that you have ways that you can help them, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to generate income from that. The trick is to get used to selling and to have that awesome feeling of, A, bringing revenue into your business, and B, helping people. Like that's one of the reasons why I love coaching and consulting calls. Helping is my love language. So being able to do that is, really aligned with what I enjoy doing, and it helps people at the same time. And I also get to generate revenue. It's like the ultimate win-win. And don't stress about pricing. Just pick a price. You can always change. I've changed my consulting price probably 20 times over the last 5 years. People who haven't, are new into your world, they won't know that you used to charge, $50 and now you're charging $250. None of that really matters. Just put a price on it and start, doing it to learn more. One of the things I do want to touch on though is it can be really, really challenging when you do have a small audience, because ultimately, these people who are super, super successful have big, big audiences. There is lots and lots of things that you can do with a smaller audience to create more personalized touch points and to really connect with them and make sure that people feel seen in your world and that you get them for sure. But at the end of the day, the things that you can do to make sure that you build your audience, you put yourself in front of new people, you are growing and nurturing that audience, that is going to have a flow-on effect. So you do need to keep it in balance. So please do not ignore audience building. If you have a small audience especially, but don't lean too heavily on it either. Don't lean on just audience building, unless, of course, you've got that financial runway where you're like, well, I don't need to make money until 2026, so I'm just going to spend time doing it. Awesome. But, even if you're doing that, I don't think it hurts to set something up that people can buy for you. So as you grow, you're going to start to, understand your customers, help them, get paid for it. That is it for today. I hope this has been helpful and I hope you enjoy the session. And if you've got any questions, as always, let me know. Tomorrow is the very last day of this Is What I'd Do If live streaming session. It's going to be a special one. I'm going to Tokyo for the weekend, which is pretty freaking cool. This is my, the dreams of my business in reality. So one of my absolute favorite places in Tokyo is the Meiji Jingu Shrine, especially, this is my little top tip for going to Tokyo. The gates open at sunrise to the park near the shrine. And when you go early in the morning, it is so beautiful and peaceful and special. And it just feels like this incredible juxtaposition against this crazy busy city that you have this beautiful, peaceful park. So that is where I'm going tomorrow morning. So I will record myself. I'm going to use my vlogging camera for actual vlogging and record myself walking around in public. It is a fear. Like other people do it and don't seem to have an issue. For someone who's, gone through things with video anxiety, it's going to be a challenge, but I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to put myself out of my comfort zone, and I will be putting the video of that up tomorrow. Do you know what I'm going to be talking about? How to have more fun in your business, because we are our own bosses and sometimes we can neglect ourselves, and it's so, so important. So I feel like, as you can join me having fun and living the dreams of my life and business, join me at Meiji Jingu Shrine tomorrow. It'll be really special. But I'm going to go and catch a plane. So I will see you tomorrow. See you from the Unicorn Advisory. Bye-bye.